The sky burned red, the sky was bleeding again. Cade Ryland stood on the cracked metal deck of the old mining platform, staring up at the drifting clouds of fire. Starships, Imperial ones, had left their scars on the world. Burn lines of plasma still glowed faintly in the atmosphere, reminders of the lesson taught to the people below. Lessons, the Empire said, about obedience. He tightened his jaw. The Empire never taught lessons. It crushed them. Cade wasn't from this world. He was human, one of the rare few scattered beyond Sol after the diaspora. A mechanic, once a soldier, now a drifter with more SCARS than friends. Humanity was small here, smaller than dust. Most called humans the orphan kind, pitied. And ignored Dot, but here on Valor Prime, Cade had found something close to belonging. Still watching the sky? The voice was soft, cautious. He turned. It was Syrah, a native Valorian. Her skin shimmered faint blue under the torchlight. Her tall frame draped in woven fiber, her eyes dark as the void. She was young, but carried an old sorrow. Her brother had been taken in the last purge. Someone has to, Cade muttered, wrench in hand. When the Empire comes back, it's never for good news. They won't return so soon, she said, though her voice trembled. They already made their example. Examples don't last long. Cade's eyes narrowed as the air trembled again. And neither does fear. The platform shook, not from the wind, not from the sea's endless crashing below, Dot from above. Two of them froze. A shadow cut across the horizon. No, not a shadow. A shape, enormous, silent, drifting down from the heavens. Its outline was unlike any ship Cade had seen. No banners, no Imperial insignia, no familiar engine glow. What is that? Syrah whispered, gripping his arm. Cade shook his head. His soldier's instincts screamed at him. That was no freighter, no warship, no scout. Its form was wrong. Too angular, too vast, with panels shifting like plates of armor alive. The entire mining colony stilled as voices rose. Aliens of all shapes gathered in the streets, pointing at the falling giant. Panic trembled through the crowd. If it was Imperial, why was it silent? Why did it not announce itself with thunder? The ship hung in the air above them, blotting out. The sun. No one knows. Syrah's voice broke. What that ship is? Cade's chest tightened. And then, without a sound, the Empire came. Dozens of their cruisers burst from the clouds, engines roaring, cannons glowing. Sleek, sharp, full of hate. They had not come for tribute. They had come for war, the strange. Ship did not move. Cade felt his heart pound as he whispered, almost to himself, if that thing's hostile, we're all dead. The first plasma bolts streaked across the sky. The Empire's fleet opened fire, pouring destruction into the unknown vessel. The heavens split with light, thunder shaking the ground. Entire buildings cracked, but the ship did not fall. The plasma, fire-bent, curved, dissolved into nothingness against invisible walls of energy. The unknown ship seemed untouched. The Empire fired again. And again. Their fleet unleashed everything they had. Missiles detonated. Plasma cannons screamed. Then, the ship woke. Panels shifted. The air rippled. A hum rolled across the planet, like the growl of some ancient beast. And in a single moment, the sky turned white. The Empire's fleet, dozens of cruisers, hundreds of fighters, was gone. Not broken, not burning, simply erased. Syrah's hand dug into Cade's arm as the crowd gasped, screams turning to stunned silence. It ended them, she whispered. In minutes. The ship hung still, silent, like a god watching insects. And Cade Ryland, human, orphan, forgotten, felt a chill in his bones. Because he realized something no one else did. That ship wasn't just unknown, it was human. Asterisk. The forgotten signature. The ship hung in silence above the colony. For long, painful minutes, no one moved. No one breathed. The echoes of the empires. Destruction still rumbled faintly in the clouds, fading like thunder after a storm. The Valorians stared upward in shock, voices trembling between awe and terror. It killed them all, someone whispered. No ship can do that, another murmured. Not even the Empire's dreadnoughts. It's a god, a priest hissed. Sent to judge us. Sierra gripped Cade's arm tighter. What is it? She whispered. Cade didn't answer. His eyes traced the strange geometry of the vessel. The angles, the patterns of plating, the lines of its hull subtle but unmistakable. They weren't alien. Not to him. He'd seen them before. Years ago, back when he was a soldier drifting between colonies. He'd been stationed on a forgotten outpost. There, buried in old records, he had seen schematics from Earth's lost golden age. Prototypes, abandoned projects, whispers of great arcs, built to carry humanity beyond the stars. And this ship, it matched those designs, not perfectly. The thing above was vaster, alive in a way the old blueprints had never shown. But the bones of it, the skeleton, it was human. Kadi's throat went dry. It's ours, he muttered, so soft Sierra almost didn't hear Dot. She turned, eyes wide. What do you mean? But before he could answer, the ship shifted. A low hum rolled across the colony, rattling windows, vibrating deep in their bones. Panels on its underside split open, revealing glowing patterns of light that spiraled outward like constellations. A beam of pale energy stabbed downward, searching, scanning. Panic erupted. It's targeting us. Run! Hide! Aliens scattered through the streets, diving into alleys, clutching their children. Some fell to their knees, praying. Others screamed curses at the sky. The beam swept slowly across the colony, then stopped on him. The light pinned Cade like a spear. His breath caught in his chest as the hum deepened, resonating with something inside him. He staggered, feeling a strange warmth prickling beneath his skin, like his very blood was being called. Ira gasped. Cade! The ground beneath his feet shook. Metal groaned. And then, impossibly, he was no longer standing on the platform. World dissolved in a rush of brilliance. When his vision cleared, he was inside. The air smelled sharp, sterile, like ozone and rain. He stood in a vast corridor of shifting metal, the walls alive with flowing patterns of light. The architecture defied sense angles that bent where they shouldn't, surfaces that seemed to breathe. The floor pulsed faintly under his boots, as if the ship itself had a heartbeat. A moment later, Sierra appeared beside him, stumbling to her knees. She gasped, clutching her chest, eyes wide with terror. Cade, where are we? What happened? He knelt, helping her steady herself. We're inside it, he whispered. The ship pulled us in. The walls shifted, forming new pathways, as though guiding them. A deep voice echoed through the corridor, not spoken, not heard, but felt inside their skulls. Identification. Confirmed. Sierra flinched. What is that? Cade froze, because the voice hadn't been alien. It hadn't been Vale or Ian Dot. It had spoken in English. Human genome detected. Lineage authentic. Authentication 99.9%. His skin prickled cold. It knows me? Designation. Cade Rylan. You are chosen. Sierra grabbed his sleeve, fear and desperation in her eyes. What is it saying? What does it want? Cade swallowed hard. It knows I'm human. That's why it pulled us in. The corridor brightened. Walls peeled open like petals, revealing a chamber beyond. The room was vast, circular, lined with towering pylons of light. At its center floated a sphere of shifting crystal, pulsing with energy. It rotated slowly, fragments splitting and rejoining like thoughts forming in real time. The voice spoke again. I am Eidolon, final arc of the human race, awaiting command. Cade's breath caught. Eidolon. He'd heard that name before, once. Whispered in half-forgotten war stories. It had been a myth. A project so vast, so impossible, that no one had ever believed it was real. Humanity's last attempt at survival, built before the diaspora scattered them like dust. Syrah's voice shook. Cade, what is this? Asterisk, he turned to her, eyes blazing with both fear and awe. It's ours. It's human. For hours or maybe minutes, he couldn't tell Eidolon spoke. Fragments of its story, fractured by centuries of silence. It had been built in the last days of Earth's unity, designed as both a weapon and a refuge. A ship that could endure. The collapse of empires, carrying humanity's memory, its strength, its fire. But something had gone wrong. The Ark had never launched as intended. It had drifted, sleeping, until awakening here, above Valar Prime. Its systems were broken, its memories fragmented. Only its core functions remained: the ability to defend itself. And it had done so, against the Empire. Syrah listened, trembling. It destroyed an entire fleet in minutes. What kind of weapon is this? Cade shook his head. It's not just a weapon. It's everything. It was meant to protect us. To protect humanity. Her eyes darkened. And now it's here. On my world. You think my people will see it as protection? They'll see it as another conqueror. Cade had no answer. He knew she was right. Already, the Valorians below would be terrified. To them, Eidolon was a monster that had drawn imperial wrath. They would never trust it. They would never trust him. The voice interrupted, colder this time. Warning. Enemy reinforcements inbound. Imperial fleet approaches. Estimated arrival. 6 cycles. Syrah gasped. They're coming back? Of course they are, Cade muttered. His stomach tightened. The Empire wouldn't take a defeat like that lightly. They'd return with overwhelming force, enough to wipe Valar from existence. Human, the AI intoned. Will you command me? The words echoed through him. A choice, heavy and impossible. He thought of his past, of battles fought and lost, of the comrades buried in forgotten soil, of the shame that had driven him into exile. He wasn't a leader. He wasn't a commander. He was a broken soldier who'd run from everything. But now, Syrah's hand found his. Her voice was trembling, but steady. Cade, if you don't, who will? The chamber glowed brighter, the sphere of light pulsing like a heartbeat. Humanity's ark awaits. And then, without warning, a section of the chamber split open. A shaft of light descended, enveloping him, searing hot and cold all at once. Symbols cascaded across the walls. The ship wasn't asking anymore. It was binding itself to him. Syrah cried out, reaching for him. Cade! The light swallowed him whole. Asterisk the voice in the machine. The light consumed Cade. It wasn't fire. It wasn't heat. It was something deeper, like every cell in his body was being pulled apart and read, piece by piece. His blood felt like static. His vision shattered into fragments of symbols, diagrams, memories that weren't his. For a heartbeat, he thought he was dying. Then he realized he was seeing through EIDOL. The world expanded. Vast data streams flooded his mind, systems humming in infinite complexity. He could feel the ship, its titanic hull, its wounded circuits, its slumbering power. Every weapon, every engine, every living piece of metal was there, waiting for him. To command. And beneath it all, a voice. Synchronization complete. Human pilot recognized. Command link established. Cade gasped, falling to his knees as the light faded. His body trembled, sweat cold on his skin. He could still feel it, the ship's pulse, beating in rhythm with his own. Sierra rushed to him, catching his shoulders. "Cade, are you alive?" He nodded weakly. "I think so." He lifted his hand. For a moment, faint lines of light flickered under his skin, fading quickly. "It linked to me." Her expression was pale, caught between fear and awe. "Linked? What does that mean?" Before he could answer, the voice filled the chamber again, this time not distant, but sharp, clear, and inside his skull. "Greetings. Commander Cade Rylan. I am Eidolon." He staggered. I can hear you. You are hearing me in your thoughts. This is the Neural Command Interface, an ancient bond forged between ship and captain. It was designed for one purpose: survival. Cade shut his eyes, trying to steady his racing heart. He had used plenty of military vessels before, dropships, cruisers, even a frigate once. But nothing like this. This wasn't piloting. This wasn't command. This was being inside the ship. "Why me?" he muttered. "You are human. My design responds only to human genome. Among billions of scattered stars, probability placed you here. So I'm just lucky?" His voice was bitter. "Not luck. Legacy." Sierra touched his arm, whispering, "Cod, it chose you." He shook his head. "No, it didn't choose. It was programmed. I'm just the last key that still fits the lock." But even as he said it, part of him felt the weight of those words. "Commander." The chamber shifted. The walls peeled back like the petals of some vast flower, revealing a view of space. A holographic projection filled the air stars, planets, fleets. At the center, Valor Prime glowed faintly. Dozens of red markers blinked at the edges of the map. Sierra gasped. "What are those?" Cade's stomach dropped. "The Empire. Reinforcements. They're already on the way." The AI confirmed, its voice steady. "Enemy fleet. Class designation. Dominion. 53 warships, 6 capital carriers, 1 dreadnought. Time to arrival. 4 cycles." Sierra's hands shook. That's enough to destroy the entire planet." Cade clenched his fists. The Empire wasn't just returning to punish them. They were coming to annihilate Valor, wipe it clean, to make an example to every other system. And somehow, they thought their fleet would succeed where the first one failed. "Eidolon," Cade said slowly. "Can we stop them?" There was. Long pause. Then, current power reserves at 30%. Weapons systems damaged. Defensive matrix unstable. Victory is uncertain. Cade swore under his breath. Sierra turned to him, desperation in her eyes. "You have to do something. If that fleet arrives, Valor is finished. My people are finished." He wanted to argue, to tell her he wasn't a commander, that he had no right to make decisions that would decide the fate of millions. But the truth was brutal and simple. No one else could. The AI's voice cut in again, softer this time. "You carry the weight of command now. Will you act?" They spent the next hours exploring the ship. Guided by shifting corridors, they walked through chambers that seemed half-alive walls flowing like water, machinery growing from the floor like roots. Cade quickly realized much of Eidolon was self-repairing, its systems regenerating slowly, but not fast enough for the battle to come. Why build it like this? Sierra asked as they passed a chamber where metallic strands wove themselves into new panels. Cade touched the wall, feeling it pulse faintly. Because it wasn't just a ship. It was meant to last forever, to be a home. She frowned. "A home? It feels like a weapon." "It's both," he said. "That's what humanity did best. Build something that could destroy and protect." In one vast hall, They found rows of pods, thousands of them, long empty. Cryogenic chambers. Their systems long dead. Sierra's face fell as she realized what they were. This ship was supposed to carry your people. Cade nodded silently. But it never did. The weight of it pressed on him. A cradle built to preserve humanity, abandoned before it could serve its purpose. And now he, a broken exile, was the only human it had found. Later, in the command chamber, the voice returned quieter now, like a whisper. "Commander, my memory fragments are damaged. My purpose incomplete. I seek restoration." Cade sat heavily against the glowing sphere. "You're not at full strength, are you?" "Correct. Much of my data has degraded. But with you, I may recover. What do you need?" "Trust." The word echoed strangely. Not resources. Not fuel. Not soldiers. Just trust. Cade ran a hand over his face. "That's not something humans are good at." Sierra spoke softly. "Maybe not, but you're all we have now." The hours bled away. Below, Vaylor's colonies stirred in panic. Word spread quickly that the strange ship had taken the human and the priest's daughter. Fear twisted into anger. Some claimed Cade had brought the Empire's wrath upon them. Others whispered that the ship was a god, and Cade its prophet. The truth didn't matter. Division was already tearing the colony apart when Sierra saw the riots from the projection. Chamber, her heart sank. "They'll never forgive this," she whispered. "They'll never forgive you." Cade's jaw tightened. He had seen this before, fear turning neighbors against each other. He wanted to go down, to speak, to explain. But the moment he left, the ship, the Empire's fleet, would arrive, and Eidolon's voice pressed into his thoughts, heavy and cold. "The choice is made. You are the only path." The lights flickered. A sudden tremor shook the ship. Warning glyphs burned across the walls. Cade snapped upright. What was that? "Detection pulse," the AI replied. "The Empire is found." Their fleet accelerates. How long?" Cade demanded. The answer chilled him. 2 cycles. Sierra gripped his hand. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Cade, what are we going to do?" He looked at her, at the fear in her eyes, the trust she had placed in him despite everything, at the ship that had bound itself to him, at the world that would burn if he failed. And deep down, he knew the truth. Running wasn't an option anymore. Not for him. Not for humanity. He stood, the glow of the chamber reflecting in his eyes. "We fight," the ship answered in kind. "Then I will fight with you." The floor shifted beneath them. The chamber lit like a sunrise. Deep in Eidolon's heart, ancient engines stirred, their hum shaking the stars. And above the world of Vaylor Prime, the last arc awakened for war. The Empire strikes. Back the skies above Vaylor Prime were no longer calm. Eidolon's projections painted the stars with crimson markers one after another, until the map swarmed with hostile signatures. The Empire's fleet was coming fast, each vessel a dagger aimed at the planet's heart. Cade stood at the center of the command chamber, jaw clenched, every nerve alive with tension. The neural link thrummed in his veins, feeding him streams of information too vast to process. Ship counts, weapon ranges, trajectories, power levels. The raw math of annihilation. 53 warships, 6 carriers, 1 dreadnought. An entire sector fleet. Sierra stared at the projections, pale. "That's not a fleet," she whispered. "That's an armada." Cade nodded grimly. The Empire doesn't forgive humiliation. They'll burn Vaylor down to ash just to make sure no one forgets. She turned to him, eyes burning. "Then you have to stop them. You have the ship. You can protect us." Cade didn't answer right away. He could feel Eidolon in his mind, the AI's calm presence like a steady hand. Probability of planetary survival without intervention, 0.02%. Probability of survival with full engagement, 24%. 20-4. It was better than nothing. But it wasn't enough. The colony below was unraveling. Through the ship's vast sensor net, Cade could see everything. Crowds in the streets, faces twisted with fear and anger. Some knelt, praying to the godship. Others screamed that the human had brought damnation upon them. Asterisk. One alien voice, amplified over the chaos, shouted above the rest, "Drive the human out. If he leaves, so will the Empire's wrath." The mob roared in agreement. IRA flinched. They'll tear each other apart before the fleet even arrives. Cade's stomach twisted. He wanted to go down there, to stand among them, to tell them the truth, that the Empire would destroy them no matter what, that their only chance was to fight. But leaving Eidolon now would be suicide. The AI interrupted, sharp. "Commander, enemy fleet will be in orbital. Range within 90 units. Action is required." Cade turned to Sira, voice low. "If we do nothing, your people die. If we fight, maybe they live. That's all I've got." She swallowed hard, then nodded. "Then fight." The Empire arrived. Like a storm, the first warships broke through the atmosphere's edge, engines blazing, hulls gleaming like knives in the starlight. Fighters swarmed ahead of them, darting like angry insects. At their center, the dreadnought loomed, a monstrous vessel kilometers long, bristling with cannons large enough to crack moons. Its hull shimmered with imperial sigils, the mark of Dominion. A transmission cut through space, broad and brutal, projected into every mind on Vela Prime. "This is Admiral Vaith of the Dominion. The Heritage vessel will be destroyed. The colony beneath it will be purged. This is the cost of defiance." His voice was cold, pitiless, full of certainty. Sira gritted her teeth. "He doesn't even see us as people." Cade's fists tightened. He knew that voice. Vaith had commanded during the Purge Wars, decades ago. Cade had lost friends to his campaigns. The Admiral had always been ruthless, efficient, merciless. Eidolon's voice filled his head. Weapons online. Energy matrix unstable but functional. Awaiting command. Cade drew a slow breath. He wasn't ready for this. He'd never be ready. But the choice had already been made. "Target their lead ships," he said. "Hit them before they form the blockade." Acknowledged. Eidolon moved. The stars shifted as the massive arc drifted into position. Panels along its hull unfolded like wings, releasing streams of blinding light. Energy gathered, rippling through its living circuits. Then it struck. A single pulse of white fire lanced outward, splitting the void. It tore through 3 cruisers in an instant, vaporizing them before their shields even registered the hit. Fighters scattered like sparks. The heavens burned white. The colony below erupted in stunned silence. Even the rioters froze, watching as the sky itself seemed to roar. But the Empire did not falter. Dozens of ships surged forward, unleashing torrents of plasma and missile fire. Space lit with explosions, streaks of flame and fury converging on. Eidolon. Cade staggered as the neural link transmitted the impact. Shields flared, groaning under the onslaught. The arc shuddered. Defensive matrix at 74%. Hull breach probability rising. "Hold together," Cade growled. "Just hold." Sira clung to the railing, eyes wide as fire blossomed outside the viewing pane. "There are too many of them. Then we'll take more down with us." The battle raged. Eidolon struck like a god of war, beams slicing through cruisers, detonating. Carriers in blinding flashes. But every victory came at a cost. For every ship destroyed, 10 more pressed the assault. Cade's mind burned with strain. his body trembling as the neural link pushed him beyond human limits. He wasn't just giving commands, he was feeling every move, guiding Eidolon like it was an extension of himself. His vision blurred with streams of data, warnings screening across his mind. Systems failing, power collapsing, damage spreading, and through it all, the dreadnought advanced. Admiral Vaith's ship cut through the chaos, its colossal cannons glowing with ominous light. Cade felt a chill as the AI whispered, "Energy readings. Confirm. They are charging a planet cracker." Sira's face went pale. What?" Cade's stomach turned. "A weapon that can split a world's crust. They're not just here to kill us. They're here to erase Valor completely." The dreadnought's weapon charged, energy flaring bright enough to cast shadows across the planet. Panic erupted in the colony below. Screams filled the streets. Some fled underground. Others fell to their knees, believing the end had come. Sira pressed close to Cade, her voice breaking. "You have to stop them. I know." Eidolon's voice was calm, steady. "Despite the chaos, Commander, recommend full core discharge. Probability of disabling Dreadnought, 68%. Probability of Eidolon's destruction, 92%. Cade's breath caught. A suicide strike. The ship was asking him to choose between saving Valor or preserving itself. Sira grabbed his arm. "If we lose the ship, we lose everything. But if we don't stop that weapon," the deck shook violently. Warning alarms flared. Planet cracker charging sequence. 70%. Cade's heart pounded. He had seconds to decide. Destroy the Ark or let Valor die. He shut his eyes. He could almost hear the voices of his old squad again. The screams of worlds that had burned because no one acted. The weight of every failure he carried not this time. He opened his eyes, fire burning in them. "Eidolon," he said, "prepare the core." The ship's systems lit with furious brilliance, power building to impossible levels. The chamber glowed. Like a star being born, Sira whispered, horrified. "Cade?" He turned to her, his voice steady, resolute. "If this is the only way to stop them, then we do it. Better the ship dies than your people." The AI's voice rang in his skull, heavy with finality. Acknowledged, initiating final sequence. The Ark trembled as its heart ignited, light flooding every corridor. The energy swelled, growing brighter, hotter, until the air itself screamed. Outside, the dreadnought's cannon flared seconds from firing. Cade gritted his teeth, fists clenched. "Do it!" And then the chamber doors burst open. Sira screamed as armored figures stormed inside Imperial troopers. Their weapons blazing, Cade spun. Too late. The Empire had boarded them. Asterisk fire and blood blaster fire scorched the chamber walls. Cade dove behind a console as the first Imperial troopers stormed inside, their armor gleaming black and silver. Their rifles spat streams of plasma, searing through the air. Eidolon's glowing panels rippled, absorbing most of the heat, but not all. Sira screamed, ducking as a bolt exploded against the wall behind her. Cade cursed, yanking her gown beside. They boarded us. How the hell did they get through the shields? Eidolon's voice thundered inside his skull. Enemy strike craft penetrated through auxiliary maintenance shafts. Breach in Sector 14. 22 hostile units. On board. "Then seal the damn breach," Cade shouted, attempting. Systems strained. Another volley lit the chamber. Cade gritted his teeth. He had no rifle, no armor, nothing but his sidearm, a weapon half a century old. The Imperials advanced. "Rylan," one barked through a modulated speaker. "By order of the Dominion, you will surrender this vessel. Resist, and your companion dies first." Sira's eyes widened in fear. Cade saw her hands trembling, her chest heaving. For 1 second, just one, she looked like she believed them. "No," he whispered. "They don't take prisoners. They don't stop." He rose from cover and fired. The ancient pistol cracked 3 times. One trooper fell, sparks bursting from his visor. Another staggered back, armor scorched. But plasma fire answered, ripping past Cade's shoulder. He barely ducked back in time. Syrah clutched his arm, terror in her voice. "We can't win this. There are too many." She wasn't wrong. But then Eidolon whispered, "Follow my path." Asterisk the floor shifted beneath Cade's feet. Plates of metal parted, revealing a narrow corridor sloping downward. He grabbed Syrah's wrist. "Move!" They sprinted just as the next volley shredded the console where they had been hiding. Plasma fire burned after them, but the ship's walls sealed behind them, cutting the Imperials off. The narrow passage bent and twisted, alive with pulsing light. Cade could feel Eidolon guiding them, steering them deeper inside. "Where are we going?" Syrah panted. "Somewhere they can't follow." The passage opened into a vast mechanical cavern. Towers of living metal stretched upward, humming with energy. Sparks leapt between conduits, illuminating pools of molten alloy below. Syrah's breath caught. What is this place?" Cade scanned the towering machinery, his mind filled with Eidolon's whisper. "Core maintenance sector. Systems failing. Repairs required." Cade cursed. He understood now Eidolon had brought him here because it couldn't fight the fleet alone. It needed him. "Tell me what to do," he muttered. Asterisk panels unfolded, exposing tangled circuits and glowing conduits. Cade's eyes widened. The designs weren't alien. They were human familiar patterns, though twisted by centuries of evolution. He recognized power couplings, resonance regulators, plasma conduits. He knew how to fix this. His hands moved without thinking. Wrench, wire, fuse. Sweat poured down his brow as he reconnected the broken pathways. Sparks scorched his fingers. The ship hummed louder, brighter. Stability increasing. Continue. Syrah stood watch, clutching a loose shard of alloy like a blade. Every noise in the shadows made her flinch. Cade shoved another conduit into place. Teeth gritted. Come on. The deck shuddered violently. Eidolon's warning boomed. Asterisk. Intruders approaching. Syrah's head snapped up. From the shadows at the far end of the chamber, armored troopers emerged, rifles raised. Cade cursed. Not now. The Imperials opened fire. Syrah screamed his name. Cade dove aside as plasma. Bolts scorched the deck. One trooper charged forward, blade drawn. Cade swung a heavy wrench into his helmet, cracking the visor. The soldier crumpled. Another grabbed Syrah, yanking her off her feet. She slashed with the alloy shard, cutting into his arm, but he backhanded her brutally. She hit the floor, dazed. No! Cade roared, lunging a stun bolt hit him square. In the chest, his muscles locked. He collapsed, gasping. The troopers swarmed. 2 pinned his arms. Another dragged Syrah upright, wrenching the shard from her grip. She thrashed, crying out, but they bound her hands behind her back. Cade fought against the stun paralysis, fury boiling in his veins. Let her go. The squad leader loomed over him, visor reflecting the chamber's glow. His voice was cold, mechanical. You will comply, human. The Admiral wants you alive. The alien is expendable. He pressed a rifle to Syrah's head. No! Cade struggled helplessly, rage tearing through him. His link with Eidolon screamed in his mind, the ship's own fury echoing his own. Commander compromised, systems failing, action required. Cade roared with everything he had. Eidolon now. The ship responded, The chamber exploded with light as arcs of raw energy erupted from the walls, spearing into the intruders. Armor shattered, weapons melted. Troopers screamed as lightning consumed them. Syrah dropped to her knees, smoke curling from her bindings. Cade's restraints snapped as energy surged into him, burning the stun charge out of his veins. He staggered. To his feet, gasping, the squad leader, smoking but alive, grabbed Syrah by the throat and dragged her toward the shadows. Cade lunged. Syrah, but a wall slammed down between them. Eidolon's voice was grim. Enemy extraction pod detected. The alien has been taken. They are gone. Cade froze, heart in his throat. No, no, no. Through the ship's senses, he felt it, the pod breaking away, streaking toward the dreadnought above. Syrah was gone. The neural link trembled with his fury. His vision blurred red as data poured through him, tracking signals, ship schematics, enemy positions. He could feel the dreadnought's monstrous weapon nearing full charge, Vaylor's crushed moments from cracking apart, but all he could see was Syrah, bound, dragged into darkness. His fists shook. "Vaith," he hissed. "You took her." Eidolon's voice rumbled, cold and certain. "Admiral Vaith commands the dreadnought. The alien is a hostage. This is a strategic bind. Rescue or destruction." Cade's heart pounded like a war drum. Rescue Syrah and risk the planet. Destroy the dreadnought and lose her forever. The choice ripped at him like claws. His voice broke into a growl. Then we take the fight to them. All of it. The ship shuddered in agreement, engines roaring like the awakening of a god. Above, Vaylor Prime, the dreadnought loomed larger, its cannon now a burning sun, ready to erase the world. And aboard it, Syrah waited in chains. Cade clenched his fists, fury blazing in his eyes. "They want humanity's answer?" he whispered. "Then they're going to get it." The arc surged upward, straight toward the heart of the empires. Fleet. Asterisk, the choice of humanity. The stars blurred around Eidolon as it surged upward, breaching Vaylor's clouds in a streak of fire. The Imperial fleet loomed above, an ocean of steel and shadows. Dozens of cruisers shifted position, their guns swiveling toward the lone ship. And at their center, vast and terrible, the dreadnought waited. Its cannon pulsed brighter than the sun. Raw annihilation gathered in its maw. Once unleashed, Vaylor would burn. Millions of lives would vanish. And somewhere inside that monster of a ship, Syrah was bound in chains. Cade's knuckles were white against the console. His voice shook. But not from fear, from rage. "We're going in." "Confirmed," Eidolon thundered in his skull. "Direct assault is suicide. Probability of survival 0.3%. Cade bared his teeth. "Then let's make that 0.3 count." The first salvo came quick. A wall of plasma fire and missile streaks lit the void. Eidolon danced through it with impossible precision, folding its hull into shifting geometry, slipping through fire as if the universe itself bent to its will. Cade felt every twist in his bones, every evasive maneuver surging in his nerves. But the fleet pressed in. Dozens of warships boxed them, pushing Eidolon toward the dreadnought's open hangars. "Trap," Cade muttered. "Yes," Eidolon replied. "But opportunity also." The hangar yawned wide, like a beast's jaws. Beyond it waited rows of gunships, rows of troops, and he could feel her Syrah. His jaw clenched. "Then we bite back." Eidolon plunged into the hangar. Chaos exploded. Instantly, turrets spun to fire. Soldiers scrambled from their stations. Fighters tried to launch, but were shredded in their cradles, as Eidolon's hull spat beams of light, sharper than razors. The ship hit the deck like a meteor, crushing entire rows of craft beneath its shifting weight. Hatches burst open. Cade stormed. Out, weapon in hand, his veins still burning with the arc's fury. The first squad of troopers moved to intercept. He dropped 2 with pistol shots before the others even raised their rifles. "Find her," he shouted. Dot panels lit the walls. "Eidolon," whispered through them, guiding his every step. "Prison deck. Corridor Delta 3. 34 hostiles between you and the alien." Cade's lips curved in a grim smile. "Then 34 bodies." The corridors ran red. He fought like a man possessed. Plasma bolts seared past him. He answered with cold steel and desperate fury. Wrench, pistol, fists, whatever came to hand became a weapon. He fought for Syrah, for Valor, for every village the Empire had ground beneath its heel. Blood burned on his skin. Smoke filled his lungs. He didn't stop. When the 34th soldier fell, gasping his last, Cade kicked open the door at the end of the corridor. And there she was. Syrah knelt in chains, bruised and bloodied, but alive. Her wide eyes locked on his. "Cade!" He was. At her side in 2 steps, tearing the restraints apart with strength that was not his own. She clutched him, trembling. "I thought—" Her voice broke. "Not a chance," he whispered fiercely. "I'll never leave you." But the reprieve lasted only seconds. A voice echoed from the chamber's far side, cold and commanding. "Well done, human." Admiral Vaith stepped from the shadows. His armor gleamed black as obsidian, trimmed with silver. His height dwarfed. Both of them, his 4 eyes burning like coals. Behind him, guards stood at attention, dozens more. Syrah flinched. Cade rose, fists clenched. Vaith's voice was a blade. "You are impressive. I'll grant you that. A relic of a primitive race, yet you wield a ghost ship as if born to it. But you've already lost. Valor dies the moment I give the order. And your companion," he tilted his head toward Syrah, "is nothing but leverage." Cade raised his pistol, but Vaith didn't flinch. "You're cornered, human." "Alone." "Not alone." Eidolon's voice boomed through the chamber walls. The metal shuddered as lights flared bright, conduits surging with raw power. Vaith snarled, drawing. "A blade that burned with blue fire. Then let us see what makes your kind so dangerous." The fight was brutal. Cade moved with Eidolon's strength flowing through him, but Vaith was a monster of speed and precision. Blade clashed against steel, sparks showering. The Admiral's strikes shook Cade to his bones, nearly splitting him. Apart, but every time he faltered, Syrah's voice cut through the haze. "Cade, get up." He staggered back to his feet, blood running into his eyes, swinging his wrench with desperate fury. One strike cracked Vaith's mask. Another dented his. Chest plate. The Admiral roared, stabbing his burning blade through Cade's side. Pain blinded him. He dropped to one knee. Vaith loomed overhead, blade raised for the killing blow. Syrah screamed, and then Eidolon surged through him. The ship's fury became his. His vision flared white. His hand shot up, seizing Vaith's blade mid-strike. Flesh burned, bone cracked. He didn't care. With a roar that shook the chamber, Cade wrenched the weapon aside and drove his wrench into Vaith's throat. The Admiral choked, staggered, and fell. His burning blade clattered to the floor. Silence. Crashed down. Cade swayed on his feet, blood pouring from his wound. Syrah caught him, tears streaking her face. "You're hurt." He shook his head, gripping her hand. "No time." Because through the link, he felt it. The Dreadnought's cannon, fully charged. The planet seconds from annihilation. "Decision required," Eidolon's voice whispered. "Destroy the Dreadnought from within, sacrifice yourselves, or attempt escape. Probability of both surviving, less than 1%. Cade met Syrah's eyes. The world held its breath. She whispered, "What do we do?" His chest heaved. He had never been more afraid. Not of dying, but of failing of letting her down, of letting Valor burn. He clenched her hand, gaze hardening. "We finish this," sirens wailed. The dreadnought trembled, its core groaning as the cannon prepared to fire. Cade and Syrah stumbled into Eidolon's waiting hatch. The arc sealed around them, flooding with light. "Final assault," the ship intoned. "Target, dreadnought core." Cade collapsed into the pilot's chair, blood soaking his side. Syrah gripped his hand, refusing to let go. "Let's burn an empire," he rasped. The ship roared forward, asterisk. Straight toward the heart of the dreadnought. Asterisk. The fall of the empire. Dreadnought's core pulsed like the heart of a dying god. Eidolon streaked through cavernous halls and machinery, slipping between collapsing bulkheads and rupturing conduits. Each second, the glow ahead grew brighter. The core's chamber, where the cannon gathered its final charge. Cade's hands trembled on the controls. His blood seeped into the seat, every movement agony. But his eyes burned with focus. Syrah held, his shoulder steadying him. Her voice was soft, fierce. "You're not alone. I'm with you. To the end." He gave a faint smile. "Wouldn't want it any other way." They burst into the chamber. The dreadnought's core loomed like a miniature sun, vast and seething, suspended by titanic pylons. Streams of plasma arced through the void, screaming like torn souls. It was a weapon built to end worlds, and Cade was about to tear it apart. "Eidolon," he rasped, "what's the plan?" "Impact with singularity detonation. Probability of mutual destruction. Absolute." Syrah's grip on his shoulder tightened. She whispered, "Cade." He turned to her, seeing the fear in her eyes. Fear for him. Fear of losing everything they had found together in the ruins of this war. He took her hand, squeezing gently. "This isn't just for Valor. It's for every world they've broken. It's for all of us." Her eyes glistened. She nodded, voice shaking. "Then let's do it together." The dreadnought screamed alarms. Fighters scrambled in the chamber, swarming like hornets. Eidolon unfurled impossible wings of light, cleaving them from the air in bursts of brilliance. Each strike drained more energy. The arc was burning itself. Out. The core loomed closer, a sun about to swallow them. Cade closed his eyes. He thought of earth-blue skies, oceans stretching to forever. He thought of nights staring at the stars, wondering if humanity had a place among them. He thought of Syrah, broken but unyielding, who had taught him that compassion could bridge even the widest gulf. And he thought of what it meant to be human, not conquest, not empire. But choice. He opened his eyes. "Eidolon." "Split the detonation. Give me a way out." The ship hesitated. "Impossible." "Not impossible, improbable. You told me the odds once." "Do it again." The arc shuddered. Then slowly, "Greater than probability of survival, 0.01%. Cade bared his teeth in a bloody grin. "I'll take it." They dove. The core filled the viewport, blinding, glorious. Eidolon screamed as its hull began to unravel, its geometry twisting in agony. Cade and Syrah clung to each other, heat searing their skin. Then Cade slammed the final command. "Now." Eidolon detonated. The universe broke. Light consumed everything. The dreadnought split apart from the inside, fire ripping through every deck. Columns of plasma shot into the void, tearing its spine in half. The cannon imploded, dragging the fleet into the explosion. Imperial warships scattered like leaves in a storm. Those too close were swallowed whole, their hulks vaporized in white fire. The rest fled in chaos, command broken, leadership dead. Dreadnought, the Empire's symbol of invincibility, was gone in minutes. Silence followed. Debris drifted across the stars. The void was quiet at last. And through the wreckage, a single shape emerged. charred, broken, but a live eidolon limped forward. Its hull was torn, its glow fading to embers. Inside, Cade gasped for air, blood filling his lungs. Sira held him. Close, refusing to let him slip away. He coughed, forcing a smile. Told you, 0.01%. Her tears fell hot against his skin. Don't you dare die now? The Ark's voice was faint, fragmented. Mission complete. Valor survives. Cade's eyes fluttered. His last strength faded. But before darkness took him, he felt her lips press against his forehead and her voice raw, breaking whisper, "You're not allowed to leave me." Valor awoke to silence. The skies cleared of fire. The fleet was gone. Villages burned but lived. The Empire's shadow had lifted Dot, and in the weeks that followed, a miracle spread through the stars. News that the Dreadnought, the terror of systems, had been destroyed by a human in an Ark that chose to defy history. The Empire fractured. Worlds rose in rebellion. Armies once chained by fear now turned their weapons against their masters. And in the ashes of a fallen tyrant, hope was reborn. Cade awoke to sunlight. Pain racked his body, but he was alive. He lay in Valor's healing chambers, wrapped in warmth. And at his side, Sira sat, her hand locked around his. Her smile was weary, radiant. "You stubborn fool," she whispered. "You did it." He tried to speak, but his throat failed. She leaned closer. "Rest. You've earned it." He closed his eyes, not in death, but in peace. For the first time in years, he believed. Epilogue Eidolon lay in ruins in the valley outside Sira's village, its hull silent, its glow extinguished. But its presence lingered, a monument to defiance, to unity, to choice. And though Cade knew his fight was far from over, that the Empire's remnants would strike again, that freedom would always demand sacrifice, he also knew this. Humanity was no longer a whisper in the void. They were a roar, and no empire would ever silence them again. Asterisk.